Maybe not. Maybe we'll just go anyway.
Okay. Well, let's see.
we got a good chorus for that. So Mary, before we actually get started, I wanted to ask you something. I've got a friend who's planning a party, and she wants me to help her. I'm helping her with some of the stuff, getting some stuff in. And she's trying to do sort of a multicultural type of a party. We were hoping we could get Mike to make some guacamole. You know, he does such a good job with that. And I found a really good
Salsa?
yes. and so we're kind of pulling it all together. But the question I was going to ask you is, she wanted me to pick up some sangria. So I'm not sure where to go or what to look for or what I need to get.
So you want some Latin flavor, right?
Right, yeah.
For your party. And you're wondering how to make sangria.
Make it? Oh, no. Oh.
You don't want to make sangria?
Well, you can make it? I thought I had to go buy it.
Well, you could. You could. But let me tell you something. Sangria actually is the taste of summer. It is really refreshing. You actually drink it very cold, right? It's fruity. It looks a little bit like watered down wine, which I'm having now. It's fizzy. It's fizzy. So this sangria looks like and tastes like.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. So where do I find it? Where do I go to get it?
Why don't you make it?
I don't know about that. You're going to have to guide me through this one.
All right. So we're going to go back to this topic of sangria. And
let's plan a party.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you. So let's plan a party then.
Okay, let's plan a party.
Let's have a party. It's time for a party, right? Okay.
Yes, go ahead. And the party that we are actually planning for you today is what we lovingly refer to as a blueprint party, because this is the opportunity we want to gather in as many people as we can from the workshop to help guide you through the blueprint process. So our intent is to give you some of the background, some of the foundation for why we talk about the blueprint in the way we do. So the blueprint party for communicating the purpose of your course.
So now that we're having a party, can we also have some music?
Oh, well, I don't know. What do you think?
Is that the DJ?
Yeah, that's our DJ right here. Yeah. And we did that as a lead-in to the fact that we're putting a slightly different twist on our professional development sessions. We're going with a subtitle of Hit Parade. So our Hit Parade topic, our title for today is, I can see clearly now, because we hope when you walk out of here, you can clearly see what you have to do to create your blueprint.
Okay. So our objectives today is, the first one is we're going to talk about backward design, and we're going to identify some of the concepts that go with it.
And we're going to get a clarification on some of the vocabulary that we hear thrown about a lot, so that we are all on the same page.
And blueprint, we talk so much about it. It's about time that we talk about why. So what is the rationale for actually taking the time to developing your blueprint?
And we're going to look at the coding that we have kind of arbitrarily set up, created, so that your blueprint shows the alignment across, and so that we can get a good understanding of how the objectives, the assessments, and the content all connect to each other across the unit.
And we're going to have some time to sit with one of us and work on aligning one of your units. Some of you have already done so, So today you will have time to work on a different unit or maybe rethink your assessments. What if there's something you would like to do differently on your blueprint? So, Judy is a caterer, right? And we call her Punch Lady because that's all she knows how to do. She doesn't know how to make sangria. So here's our situation, right? Let's help Judy actually know how to make sangria. I actually told her what it looks like. I didn't tell her how to make it. So what do you know about making sangria? Ingredients maybe?
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
Okay, well,
Yes.
we can start with that.
What else? Fruit. Very good.
Okay. Ice.
Ice. Yes.
I need to get my shopping list going.
Yes. What else?
Spice, maybe? Spices, really? Ooh, nice. Okay.
Hints of cinnamon, mint.
Ah, this is getting very interesting sounding.
Yeah, right? Okay, so the fact that she can buy it or she can make it absolutely doesn't mind. I don't care about that because my real concern is the end. I'm interested in what it looks like and what it tastes like. If she buys it or if she makes it, that really makes no difference to me. What I'm interested in is the final product that she will be serving at my party. How she gets there really is not the issue. The real issue here is that planning sangria is similar to planning a course. So how was this planning different from a traditional recipe? When I give you a recipe, we start at the beginning, right? Oh, these are your ingredients, blah, blah, blah. And this is how you make it, right? Today, we started at the end. We started talking about the end result. And that is what we know as backwards design. So for backwards design, we set up our minds to start with the end in mind. So we talked about vocabulary, we talked about talking about some of the terminology of backwards design. So we have 3 words for you today: enabling, perform, and achieve. So for enabling, we have the skills and the knowledge that we want our students to get so they can perform effectively in order to achieve those desired long-term results. So I'm going to switch perspectives. I'm going to step up in here, and that is going to be the way, my beginning point. I'm going to start with my results, and then I'm going to walk backwards to plan how and what I am going to do so that my students get there. So welcome to backwards design.
And when we talk about design, we're talking about several different components of a course, with the curriculum for sure, the assessments, and the instruction. All of it goes together to create the course that we want. And so curriculum and the Latin form derivative, derived from Latin, meaning a course to be run. And so a truly definition for curriculum, or an elevator definition, I guess, is that it's a blueprint for learning that is derived from the desired results. We think about what it is that we want at the end and get those results. As we talk about that, we're going to be talking about big ideas, and those big ideas are, a big idea is a concept or a theme or an issue that gives meaning and connection to the content of the course. So it's like an overarching big concept that actually goes over several, yes.
Question, should all curriculums be based on backward design? Is that a recommendation?
Not necessarily. That is one effective way of designing a curriculum. Well, we can talk more about that, and there's actually, I'll show you in the next slide where some of this information comes from. So, I guess the answer to should it all be no, there's not a, this is how it has to be done. This is a way of doing it in order to assure what I've got on the next slide.
And actually, you're the example of that, because you're developing a course, and I have here some of your big ideas. And you are a step away from thinking about the content as your curriculum. Content is simply a resource, right? Your textbook is a resource. But you started thinking about what are some of the deep understandings and what is the awareness I want my students to take away with them as they are transformed by taking my course. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read some of your wonderful big ideas. So
it's just a matter of wanting to share and give you an idea of what some big ideas are.
Yeah, and the scope of them, because you do not develop this kind of understanding over a unit or a lesson. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes combining perspectives, looking at things from different angles. So it takes a little bit more than just saying, here, this is your content. So I'm just going to read them in the context of what is happening today, yesterday, and today, this week, just to let you know how real it sounds. So these are his big ideas.
No, Von's course is
Race, ethnicity, and criminal justice.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain the intersectionality of race, ethnicity, class, crime, and criminal justice. Definitely something that is not accomplished in one class or one unit or one discussion. And then here's another one. Recognize that racial disparities in and of themselves do not necessarily amount to racism. So you're going to be exploring events, but at the same time, you're going to be exploring what makes racism, right? And what doesn't make it. And his last one is identify ways to address racial disparities in the criminal justice system. So, overarching big transformations that are happening in your class. It's like when you develop a picture, you put it in there, but it doesn't appear instantaneously. It takes time for those chemicals to do their work, right? So that's the idea.
That was the olden days before digital photography. But yeah, if you've spent any time in photography, you know about sitting there in the dark room with the red light going on and waiting for the picture to appear.
The good old days?
Yes, so when you look at a textbook and you look at these ideas, you see the relevance of what he wants to do. You see exactly where he wants to take his students. It has nothing to do with necessarily covering material from the textbook. It has to do with exploring those topics that will definitely change.
And I'm sure all of you have, you know, and thinking about that can come up with some things that also connect with that with yours as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually the answer to your question might even be yes, because when you're planning what you want your students to, what evidence you want from your students, you know what you want at the end. That's what she read. You know what you want at the end, and you have to figure out what you have to do to get them to that point. One of the terms that is bandied about and is a very difficult one to nail down, so we're going to go just a quick, but you can do a whole lot more in depth on it, is the term understanding. And many instructors like to use the term understanding as one of their objectives, and we're going to talk about the challenges of using that term. The word has multiple connotations. It can mean a lot of different things, most of which are very, very difficult to find evidence of, because I don't have any way of knowing from, even though I'm looking at faces and looking at eyes, I have no way of knowing what you understand of what I'm saying. So there's a lot of, it's a complex word. It truly does not mean that your students have read the material and they remember it long enough for the test. It involves engagement, students to be totally engaged with what they're doing. It involves something that can be transfer of learning. So if they are involved in it with this, they can take that information and apply it in a different, similar type of situation. And it involves having them be able to put it into a conceptual framework so that it does become very clear. And this is from Wiggins and McTighe, Understanding by Design. And so one of the things that they came up with is 6 facets, the different parts of understanding. And if you've looked at all at our Bloom's taxonomy lists, and I think most everybody in here has already pretty well completed your parts of your blueprint, so you've looked at that list, you'll see some similarities in these words. According to them, the 6 facets of understanding are explanation, interpretation, application, perspective, empathy, and self-knowledge. And what Mary and I both commented on is the fact that there's certainly the cognitive verbs in that, but there's also the affective verbs in there, and that truly is a part of understanding. Until you have taken it internally, it's you're not going to be able to get too far with it.
And also the metacognitive is in there.
Yeah.
So it's basically a different nomenclature for actually the same.
Yeah.
Because it's the same. All right. Okay, so going back to backwards design, there is beginning with the end in mind, right? Those big ideas. These are my course objectives, right? These are those overarching concepts that I want my students to explore. And then I have my unit objectives. Then I plan my assessments. How will they show that they have understood? How can I measure? Where is the evidence that proves they have learned or mastered those concepts? And from there, I plan the sequence, the content of my activities, and my learning experiences. So what is happening in the classroom comes as a result of what I want my students to do. So we're gonna be thinking about this because it is a big change from thinking, here's my book, this is what I teach, right? So we're gonna be always kind of coming back to that. How does that make us feel as we do this transition into backwards design? And we wanted you to see where this framework translates into what you're doing here with your blueprint. So, results, evidence, actions. These are the 3 steps for backwards design.
And this chart may be somewhat similar to you because we're going to connect it now to what you have been looking at. But this is a chart based on the steps of backward design. Think about the desired results, think about the evidence that indicates those results, and the actions that get us there. So here is the document that you have been working in, and this is a screenshot of the one for the workshop. But again, the same perspective. Well, of course, the course level objectives are the overarching, the whole big ideas. but the unit level objectives are the end result. That's what we want them by the end of this unit. My students will be able to. And so that's the end result. But in order for them to get there, I have to have an assessment. I have to have something that's going to give me the evidence that they have accomplished that. And then I think about what I'm going to do in order to get them to that point. And this is a screenshot taken right from the workshop, and you've got access to this one too. But this gives you, we talked a little bit about what we have kind of set up as an arbitrary way of showing that connection. So in this one, locate the resources outlined in the Start Here unit, which links directly to the course level objective number 2. And again, this one links to course level objective number 1. So it shows this notation, CO is course level, and 2 is item number 2. So that links our unit objectives directly back to the course level objectives, and you will see that throughout the whole thing. Then as we go into the assessment, with under that, the journal that you had in Unit 1 was an academic identity journal. And so the notation here is the first one means that we're in Unit 1, and then the next item, the 2, is the second unit level objective. And because we have already made the connection to the course level objective, we know that these things are going to help us accomplish those. And then the same thing with the content. You read some articles, and I think they were articles primarily in Unit 1 that connected to Unit 1 Objective 2, so that we know that it's lined up all the way across. Does that clarify for anybody? I know some of you weren't, your blueprints turned out very well. They looked good, but some of the notation was not necessarily there. And the comments that we made in there address that. Beautiful objectives, nice assessments. Let's have a conversation about how to show that alignment. So questions, comments? Oh, well, that was easy. Yeah. Where's my button?
Where's my sangria?
So this is like an overview, and we'll sit with you in just a few minutes and clarify it for anybody that still has any questions. So just as kind of a review about why why you have a blueprint in the workshop, why we're asking you to do that, and any of you that come through here with designing a course, well, also that's one of the first tasks is to sit down and write out the blueprint. It gives us a tool it shows the whole layout of your course, and know that it changes through the process, because things are gonna move around, they're gonna adjust, you're gonna say, well, wait a minute, I think we actually do that in this unit instead of that one. But it gives you a visual of the whole process. We say one page, it's not one page, most of them wind up being several pages, although with you all doing like the shorter sessions in the library, yours probably will be one page, and that's fine. But a visual of your whole course right there in one document, not necessarily, a page or however many, but it's a visual of the whole course and how the course is laid out. Once you see that, then the rest of it falls into place very, very easily. And so the process has to do with, we had you think about assessments, because for many instructors, they know what assessments they're doing in the course. So we had you think about assessments in order to start to put them into the blueprint, into the process. You want to make sure that those assessments definitely provide evidence of the learning that you want to happen. Evidence that you can say, yes, we did this objective because this assessment actually accomplished that. And then when we talk objectives, we go to our favorite document, Bloom's big list. Our phrase around here is don't leave home without it.
Yes.
So we're going to give you a chance to try out your skills. So we have put on these the Google Slides, and I didn't even ask, and I apologize for that. Whoever we have joining us virtually, welcome. Thank you for being here with us. We skipped right over that part of it. And so we're going to work with you all as well. We want to let you sit down, and if you have your Google slide is set up in such a way that, well, I'll let you explain it.
Mm-hmm. So if we, there. So if you have thought about those big ideas, you may have a notion of what you want there for your course objectives, so you can actually write them there. And then we want to work, this is a hands-on session. We want actually to develop, we want you to develop one unit. And in here, you're going to create 2, 3, 4, some of you have created 8 unit objectives. So if you can do 1 or 2 or 3, that's fine, right? And then you're going to line them up with the evidence. How do I know my students are actually hitting those performances? How do I know they are accomplishing those goals? And what is the assessment tool that will give me that evidence? Is that an essay that I want to have for those who teach languages? Is that a role play that I want them to stage in my class? Or I want them to record a video? Anything like that. And then what is the lesson content that my students will have to go over in order for them to reach those objectives? And we're going to practice using the notation, right?
Yeah.
So course objectives, and then within the units, we align these objectives. Let's say I'm gonna create an assessment for objective number 3. So I write 3, I write 1 for unit, and then 3 for that objective. But we're going to be guiding you through the process, all right?
And knowing that most of you in here have already submitted something, you should be able to go into the workshop and be able to retrieve the blueprint that you did if you want to use actually some of what you have, or we may be able to bring it up for you and give you some of that, give you that information if you want, or you can just take something, maybe something that you know would be coming in that, within that session, and create the blueprint, I mean the objectives and the assessments for it. Either way works, will work fine if we want to work on something you already have. Oh, looky there, Corinne brought hers. You know her. No, that's perfect.
Let us know if this is the first time you're attempting to do this, so we can actually give you some more guidance. Some of you have already gone through this, so you can work more independently. Let us know.
Yeah, and we're here for you, and we have a couple of others of the other facilitators that are standing by to give you guidance and help you. Kathy, how many do you have online?
I have Gail Choate and Sherry Edwards.
Okay. So you'll be able to give them some guidance as they work through, and then in here. So yes.
Are these course blueprints supposed to be more for us or more for the students?
Yes.
Is there evidence that the students even look at these?
No.
I can do
It is for you for designing your course, but when we create a course in here, we post it in there. Now, many instructors choose not to have it available, but we post it in there to show them, and our explanation, which is what's in the workshop, is such that
let's give it a try. You can
it's written towards the students if they want to. I have no idea if students ever actually look at it, but it would be the answer to the age-old question for our mathematics teachers.
Yes, sure. Okay.
When am I ever going to use this? You know, why am I doing this? But But that way, if there were any questions that came up, but I don't know that it is designed so that they can look at it and see it. So, but I don't know. You're right. I'm not sure how many of them ever actually would have it.
And is there an assignment we're supposed to do when we
Yes.
get here?
Right there, but we can take care of that.
At the end?
The workshop. Yeah.
Did you,
So over there.
I flew over there. My son was there.
Oh, it was, that one wasn't it? Yeah, right there. Thank you. Yes.
and then unit,
Mhm.
and then activity.
Okay. So your
Oh, there you go. You've got a computer with yours on it. That works. And you do too. So, yeah.
So do I need to work on this one or?
Well, what we would say, because you've already submitted yours, right? Yeah, what we would suggest is if you don't need to make any revisions in that one, maybe you could go ahead and try another unit just to get the practice on it. Or see if there's anything that you didn't need to adjust it.
So that there's no way you can have.
This is, because we had a holiday last week and didn't do a PD last Friday, usually we do
Because I have my doctor.
a blueprint
If you copy this
workshop
on your
the
computer,
week
you
that
will
we
be able
open
to
up that
open
unit.
this
And by
document on
now,
your computer.
those who
Let
are
me show you what the link is.
the go-getters in the workshop group have already submitted it. So this is coming later than it normally would, but we still like to make it available for anybody that would like some guidance. Yeah, were there any feedback, comments on yours, Cassandra? Okay.
Okay, here.
The ones that have, that we
That's
have
good.
looked at, and I think I checked this morning, I've looked at everything. The ones that we've looked at, I give some feedback.
Do you feel like playing some music for us, Mike? Maybe I can see clearly now. Yes. Sure. We're looking at check these.
When you go into my grades,
Oh,
in my grades.
Quite a bit in my personal classes.
And then,
I'm not included. So there's no group activity.
Okay.
Having smaller groups within those discussions.
Yes.
and interesting, because I always do that with my students too, when I
Yeah.
put the comments that show up, because I never see, I don't know what my grade side looks like. So when I put comments in there, I say, please see rubric for additional comments. And we didn't have a rubric on this one, but,
Tell me a little bit about your experience with collaborative types of work on fully online classes. Does it really, how successful can you be in achieving what you achieve in in-person class?
one of those rubrics.
Beyond the pilot, you achieve application, you achieve group work skills, right? And that translates 100%. Well, yeah, it translates to the online setting.
What's the advantage of doing it online setting?
Versus not doing it, or versus.
No, but
Objectives, but that's okay, you know, and
Okay.
generally, course level objectives, we don't even, as an instructor, we seldom create course level objectives. We're given course level objectives and then we create objectives, we break those down, so that's fine. We won't even talk about those, but as unit level objectives, they're fine as these are. So then,
So we said we're gonna unit
assessment.
We're unit.
It's more easy if you want.
Yeah. So we said we're gonna unit.
So now then, what I'm gonna have you do is at the end of where you've got first time discussion.
Which of these
the parentheses,
trial
and
and
that's gonna connect because this is, no, actually it's unit
How about
three.
the
So if we're gonna do the parentheses 3:, Just the one. Okay, so it'd be just for.
Well, yeah, well, the end state was so big.
Oh, no,
it is.
So. And so this is, well, the first number you have is to choose. And you've got your three, and then the columns.
And these
And then
are gonna be telling you
unit
how
objective
you're
one.
getting
One
here.
and
So by doing this, what are the
Issues of inequality.
are they?
One, and then does your comma.
Socio.
So therefore we shouldn't talk about any of that. That's what we're seeing.
Okay, so this is like a peer review thing.
It is.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So then, this is still 1 and 4, right? Because it's the same, yeah, it's the same thing. So then you're, you will have this, the same notation there because that's a part of this one. You might
We would go.
want to, because you're doing on
Oh, in this unit, I'm starting from this objective.
and you should be going, but in your unit objectives, you're going to review
Relate
the meals.
connect.
Or not, I'll think that one through, but what I am gonna say is that we've got objectives 1 and 4, we know we're doing.
Yes.
So what do you do that's going to give you the evidence of 2 and 3?
Well, it really happens to
Yeah, well, that would actually have to be included.
No. So, because they're gonna have it pull out, because they're gonna be able to get,
Yeah. Okay, so, you know, I mean, you don't have to go into detail on the assignment, but as long as you know that that assignment actually is going to cover all of them, then you can certainly put that down. Otherwise, then you would want to come up with something that was going to meet those standards.
Well, there is, there's online content that goes through that.
Oh, okay.
Like an online knowledge, and there are exercises that will cover all rights.
All right, so you might want to put that under your assignments,
So that needs to be indicated.
workbook. We don't have to work to be able to do that. Workbook.
It's the objective.
That covers. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
so what we're saying here
if you've got
is,
something in your objectives, you want to have something in the, correlate to it, and vice versa. An objective, you want to make sure it has something. And
very good.
content that be, parentheses, units, and it's probably gonna hit all. And then we know that we had to come on meeting about these.
Oh, okay.
Very good. What is the meeting about? So, let's see.
Yes, it looks fine. You seem to have.
Transcribe is one.
Okay, so Larry and Tom, what are we doing here?
Alright. Okay, so this one kind
Yes, she explained,
Okay.
Even though I was.
You know how to log into
Explained here, why.
Oh, right there. Where's the?
Down here, so I just assumed it was the same thing. Verbs. That's what I was thinking. So it's gonna change
on the objective.
Type an exchange.
And there we go.
Are these procedures?
OWA.
Is there a procedure for answering the phone, for taking messages. Okay, so you basically
great.
want them
Thank
to
you.
follow the reply.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Another one from the health department.
So you'll give me an opportunity to download right to an email, or will it download onto
To the
this?
computer, and then you upload it to.
And then I can then delete it out of the computer?
Yeah, once you email it, you delete it.
Staff.
He does, well, the one he's in the workshop, so you should see him popping.
Oh,
Haven't been in yet,
Okay.
and so I did the orientation.
And
Okay.
if we go back here,
Yeah.
there are procedures for.
All right, how are we doing? We are,
Calls.
moving into our extra time, and you don't have to stay and work as long as you like. And if we want to get into a conversation, if we're still confused, or clarification
Messages out, how to screen a call.
about the design.
To get the proper information to get to.
Okay.
Okay.
Related to the things, what proper
Answer.
things to say, right?
Right.
Not what to do, but what to say. Okay, so that would be a different one. Yeah.
Come next year, and all in campus, or year, that's,
Yeah, we'll deal with that one later. So,
oh, wow.
because when you answer the phone at home, you can say hello, right? But when you answer the phone here, that's just like, so that's, well,
It's, it is different, but it is,
so make it number
gonna be
four.
easy to read. That is pretty,
Yes.
it's very user friendly, very easy to use,
Oh, good.
and the ultimate result will look, well, look a little bit different, but it will work.
I'm not ready for
For the first two passages, and it's, actually, it's easy to use,
Yeah, that was from black, very,
very.
very.
It's-
Because it's from a student's perspective, it's easy.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I got
How
it.
do you know where to go?
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Things
so
like-
let's go
One thing I always
back
didn't like
to
with Blackboard is when they would try to print something from Blackboard, it would open up and it would, but they won't see it, 'cause it opens up behind the window and it's like,
which
at
is
first we're trying to figure out where, and then like,
Uh,
we realize,
no.
like, we minimize
so
it. it's right here.
examples. We
And
have them there,
my
right?
usual.
We have domestic, international calls. What to do when you get an
Right.
international
Definitely.
versus domestic. How to transfer, how to take messages, right? And how to screen. So this is a big idea. These are nested.
Within,
that,
yeah, right.
So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna take these and we're gonna make them part of your objectives.
Right
So
here.
what are the procedures and daily routines you want them to explain? One, two, or you can put them in parentheses next to your big objective.
So that's your big
I mean,
objective right
take them
here.
out of there and put them next to this one.
Oh,
About 5 minutes each and every.
okay. I wonder if it's over here. All right, how are they go? How are we doing? We're here for you as long as you want to. I'm just gonna close out on the PowerPoint, so you know that if you wish to, you can take off, but not before we get all of your questions answered.
Is there sangria?
I know, that's good. I know, yeah. Yeah.
So we don't have to.
Mimosa or something?
So where in unit one,
Yeah.
are you asking them to explain those procedures? Which
Yes, I
objective?
know, we understand.
Yeah, but which objective is it?
That would be number 3.
Okay, very good, very good.
Okay, so this is just a wrap up. We've done some work in your, on your blueprint. I think we're working with almost everybody. Is there anybody that still feels a little fuzzy about it? Because we're here for you, we'll stay here as long as you want to. Otherwise, through the course of this day, we have looked at what the backward design concept is all about and why we think in terms of thinking with the end result. Does everyone plan curriculum this way? No, Vaughn, they don't. Should they? I would say probably so. However, I'm prejudiced. I definitely have a bias. So, but it is a logical way to plan what you're doing so that your students know that the students come out of it with what you intend for them to. And so the use of not using what we refer to as fuzzy verbs and knowing that we have evidence at the end of it is our key to it. We hopefully clarified the term understanding. It still pops up, so it will, as we see it, we can guide you in another direction because it's a whole lot more than just one phrase in one objective. There's a lot more to understanding than we can do with one objective. So hope we got that across to you. We have taken a look at how our blueprint is organized, and you have created some awesome units. Thank you. What a nice event. Next week, we are continuing with our hit parade. I Will Survive, and you're the one that wrote down what the details.
It's a survival guide, basically for time management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time management.
Time management.
And then the following one is, for some of you that were here when we had our audio issues, I forget if we also had video issues as well, where we did your concepts of moving yourself from a face-to-face instructor into an online instructor. So if you were here before, we're going to do a rerun of that one where we are moving into the online environment. So we're going to help you think through that process. So that's the next two coming up. So thank you. You're welcome to stay and work with any of us, all of us, as long as you like. We want to make sure that you are clear and have a good solid understanding of developing blueprint. Thanks.